Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the lecture number 14 this is about analytical hierarchical process, and this is about multi-criteria decision making. But before we move towards the lecture and the case studies, we have planned 2 case studies in this very course, and for EHP, and we will actually discuss this thing in great detail. But before we go towards our today's lecture, we have to get a summary of the previous lecture. And the other day we had covered very important topic of communication and the difference of simple and complex projects as far as communication is concerned. And for that we had this definition of communication and communication management, and then what is the relevance of communication. And remember, the communication can break or make a project, and what is the purpose of communication on projects, and then basic communication model. There is one person who is actually intends to convey something, and the other one is the recipient. And the one who intends to convey his or her message encodes his or her thought in words, and that words are actually transferred through some medium, and the medium may be the air or some telephone or some same like thing. And then the recipient receives the same message in words, and then this message is decoded in the brain, and then he or she actually understands what does the message mean. So this is the basic communication model, and this model remains valid whatever the complexity level or whatever may be the needs of a stakeholder as far as communications are concerned. Then we had discussed what may be the consequences of shortcomings in communication, and we do remember this quotation: the project may be made or broken by the communication. So if we are having shortcomings in communications, then the project stakeholder may be in great trouble. Then communication lines, and the more the stakeholders we have, the more complex the communication model will be. So we had learned this thing, and that is how to actually develop and evaluate the number of communication lines. So there is a formula: n times n minus 1 divided by 2, and then we had discussed in great detail what if we add one stakeholder and the number, the communication lines, they are increasing with such a pace. Remember, we had discussed if there are 10 stakeholders, then how many communication lines were? Those were 45. And then if we are having 11 stakeholders, and there was a formula for calculating the number of lines, and that is 11 times 10 and divided by 2, and that is 55. So by increasing one stakeholder, the communication lines were actually increased to 55, 10 more communication lines. And then we had discussed the challenges in communication, and we had discussed these things, what are the challenges we are facing, like under communication and over communication and stuff like that, and what may be the consequences then. And then communication management framework, there are 3 processes we had discussed, and then communication methods and communication technology as well we had discussed. So this was what we had discussed the other day. And when it comes to complex projects, the level of effort is increased as far as communication management is concerned. For a simple project, like if you are actually developing this software and you have to write a code of 200 lines and you are interacting with two people, one is the customer and the other one is your software engineer, and you are working as a project manager, then by that time this is very simple communication. But when it comes to, like, you are actually heading this team of 12 person and you are having contact with the customer, and there is a Q and QC department in customers organization, and then you are having this project management department over there, and then contract administration department there, and accounts department is there, and then their technical departments are there, and there are a number of people working over there. So your stakeholder number may range from 20 to 30, I suppose, and you are actually working on this project of writing a complete software package, core lines or algorithm of let's say 200,000 lines, and by that time your communication will be complex. So by this we had inferred that complex projects may have complex communications, and complex communication may actually make a project complex. So now we move towards today's lecture. That is very, very important. So assume we have to choose between 4 projects, and one guy is saying that, well, choose this project, this is very profitable one. The second one says, okay, project number 1 is very profitable, but our organization's mission, vision, objective and goals are actually better achieved by the project number 2. And the third project stakeholder says that, well, there is a business opportunity and we cannot lose this client, so we should actually work on project number 3 because when this client is satisfied through our project, we may have the profits and a few projects which actually meet our objectives of organization in future. And the fourth one says that, okay, there is a fourth project, and that is we will develop a new skill with our team, and in this area we haven't worked for so many years, and this resource person we can have engaged on our project is readily available in the country nowadays, and if we initiate this project, so this resource person can be utilized, and this can be mobilized, and when we do have adequate skills, yes, we can even go for the profitability and for such a project which actually is aligned with the mission, objective and goals of the organization, and we can even seek another clientage. But if this resource person is left, so we are not able to carry out this project in near future, and hence our team will never be able, or in the position to learn new skills. Now, there is an option. I mean, if you are a program manager and you have to choose between 4 of the projects, so everybody is talking some rational over there, and they are so convinced, and they are so good with their arguments, and you have to choose. What will you choose then? Now this is a tricky question, and if your answer is like project number 2, project number 3, project number 4, project number 1, then you have to actually substantiate your choice with some very focused methodology or argument. But for that, you cannot actually do the copy paste. You cannot ask the argument of the project number 2 project sponsor and recode these arguments. Rather, you have to carry out some objective type of methodology, and then you will make a choice which is actually supported by some figures. And human beings are so much blessed or cursed with this ability. They do like or they interpret the results very good when it comes to figures. So you want your top management is very convinced of whatever you actually have decided. For this, you are available with decision models, and one of the decision model is available is called analytic hierarchy process. So AHP, and this is a very good tool, and this is a procedure designed to quantify managerial subjective judgment of the relative importance of each of several conflicting criteria used in the decision-making process. So for that, the example we were quoting the first project, that is profitable. So profitability was the first competing criteria, and the second thing was the alignment of the project with the mission, objective, and goals. That is the second criteria, competing criteria. And the third one was the client's client age. So, and the fourth one was actually you were going for this resource and addition of new skills to your project team. Now, every criteria is very valid as far as this debate is concerned, but you know, there is something like might be the profitability is very important than the client age, okay, or client age may be very important than the alignment of the project with the organization, or alignment is very important than the new skills addition. So you have to actually grade something, and then you have to pick one. But before you actually go, you should not say that, okay, I feel like it and I will do that. No, this is bad, because human beings are actually biased towards so many things. People do have their choices of liking and disliking. So when they say, okay, I like this, or they are actually, and okay, this is a very good example. You have to choose one of the project, and that is social sector or industry, and you are having three alternatives, and you have this amount with you and resources available, and you can actually choose one project out of three, and that is one. Improving the literacy rate of target group of the society of target location, and or you can eradicate the polio by carrying out a campaign, a one-time exercise, or you can have this new project to increase the livelihood and living facility, living standard by providing some drinking water facility. Now, everybody knows in your organization you are actually very good advocate of eradicating polio from community by imparting some education as well as vaccination to the kids. Okay. So when you actually, and you had to choose, and everybody in the top management also is very much aware of this fact that you are going to choose that, and you are with this your option, and they are not that convinced if you have made a good choice, because they do know that you are biased to that type of projects. So by that time, you should be having something very, persuading type of thing, or the one you can actually sell to these senior guys. So this thing, AHP, actually helps you out of such scenario, and it guides you to have very good judgment, and it actually lets you know that if you're right or wrong by making some decisions. So let's say we are having this case study, and we will understand this AHP stuff by going through that case study. So let's say one of the designer, Metro, must decide which of the three manufacturers will develop his or her signature toothbrush. Three factors are important to Metro: cost, reliability of the product, and delivery time. So the three manufacturers are Medicam Industries, Reach, and Oral-B. Medicam will sell toothbrushes to Metro for rupees 100, Reach for 80, and Oral-B for rupees 144. So for that thing, अगर आप इसको अभी देखें तो आपको लगेगा कि आपके तीन क्राइटेरिया थे: कॉस्ट, रिलायबिलिटी एंड डिलीवरी टाइम. जो कॉस्ट है, अगर आप पहला पैरामीटर देखते हैं तो उसके अंदर जो मेडिकैम की है वो 100 है, रीच की 80 है और ओरल बी की 144 है. तो रीच आपको चूज कर लेना चाहिए, राइट? But this is not the case. I mean, you also have to consider this reliability thing as well, and delivery time, and that is very important. So there are three parameters, and those are conflicting criteria on which you have to choose. So what you will do is you will take this first parameter, cost, and you will make some analysis of that. And for that, we are having this thing with us. Some information, and one of your section in Metro has actually done this R&D, and they have actually come up with these prices: 100 and 80 and 144, right? Okay, so step number 1, list all the, there are three things, and you have to consider these three things: overall goal, what do you actually want, overall goal, and criterion basing on which you have to choose, and then decision alternatives. What are your options then? Okay, so let's say now for this very particular case we have this hierarchical structure for manufacturer selection problem, and the overall goal is you have to select the best toothbrush manufacturer. Now remember, this is just a case study, academic case study. So by expressing these three manufacturers, we do not recommend anything over there. This is only for the sake of the knowledge sharing. You know, the concept is being transferred over there. So you mean you want best toothbrush manufacturer, so that you can actually place your toothbrush on your shelf for the sale. And by best we mean for this very organization, best we mean for Metro, what is the best, or what is the best scenario for given data. Now there are three criteria for which we have to actually on which we have to select our toothbrush, and that is, first thing is cost. Okay, this is cost, and then reliability, and then delivery time. And now we have data for cost with us. Okay, the R&D section has carried out necessary objectivity, and they have come up with figures like 80 rupees and 100 rupees and 144. They are very objective things. And decision alternatives, for cost we can select between Medicam, Reach, and Oral-B, and we can actually select through Medicam, Reach, and Oral-B as far as reliability is concerned. And then we are having Medicam, Reach, and Oral-B as far as delivery time is concerned. So step number 1 was to develop the overall goal, and we have developed that, and that is to select the best toothbrush. And then we had to select the criteria. We have done that. We have established, okay, R&D department of the project management team has come up, you know, with 3 criterion, and that those are the cost, reliability, and delivery time. And then decision alternatives. What are our alternatives So we have these alternatives. There are 3 of them for every criteria to choose from. Now, for every, after actually establishing this overall goal and criterion and alternatives, we have come to step number 2, and step number 2 and 5, 2 to 5 will be used for every criteria we are using. Okay, so this is step number 2, and that is develop a pairwise comparison matrix. Now we have to develop a pairwise comparison matrix. What do you mean by pairwise comparison matrix? If you do, your answer is I do not know, then it is very fine. We will make this thing very easy, and by the end of this session we will learn about pairwise comparison matrix. So what you have to do is you have to rate the relative importance between each pair of decision alternatives. So what do you mean by that? We have to rate between the Medchem, the reach, and oral B. We have to rate the relative importance between these 3 parameters. And then the matrix lists the alternative horizontally and vertically, and has the numerical ratings comparing the horizontal alternative with the vertical alternative. So we have to actually rate the horizontal with the vertical. Okay, so ratings are given as follows. So step number 2 is underway, and comparison to the second alternative. So if we are having this Medicam thing and that is being compared with oral B, what would be the number then? Whether it is extremely preferable or very strongly preferred, and strongly preferred, or moderately preferred, or equally preferred, whatever you choose. Let's say if you are choosing, okay, now Medicam is strongly preferred to oral B, then you will assign a numeric 5, number 5. Okay, you can see over there, you can select 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Can you use 2, 4, 6, 8? The answer is yes. Like if you are you say that the Medicam is strongly to very strongly preferred. Now you are actually talking about these 2, strongly to very strong. You are not saying strongly preferred, or you are not saying very strongly preferred. You are saying strongly to very strongly preferred to one of the other toothbrushes. Then you are using this value of 6 over there. Or if you are saying, okay, the reach is very strongly preferred to extremely preferred, then your answer may be the 8 over there. And when you say that that is preferred, equally preferred to moderately preferred, then you will use this term 2 over there, 2 value. Okay. So now this has been explained in this very slide, and that is pairwise comparison matrix. We are into the step number 2. The step number 1 was, you remember, the overall objective was to select the best toothbrush available with the team, and then they had developed some criteria on which they can choose. And then the last thing was actually they had to give some alternatives to choose among. Okay, so then we are having this numerical rating. Step number 2, we are actually developing these pairwise comparison matrices for each criteria. And then we had discussed that intermediate numeric ratings of 8, 6, 4, 2 can be assigned. Our reciprocal rating is assigned when the second alternative is preferred to the first. The value of 1 is always assigned when comparing an alternative with itself or of equal importance. So now we will start with the cost thing, and by having this given data with us, as far as cost is concerned, Metro has decided that in terms of price or cost, reach is moderately preferred to Medicam and very strongly preferred to Oral B. In turn, Medicam is strongly to very strongly preferred to Oral B. So let's say, first of all, there is a reach, and we are comparing it with Medicam, and reach is moderately preferred as far as Medicam is concerned. Then you will use some number of moderately preferred. So you remember moderately preferred, we had this thing available with us, moderately preferred number 3. So we will use number 3 when it comes to reach and Medicam. Okay, what is reach and Oral B? Then remember, very strongly preferred. So very strongly preferred, number 7. So we will use this number 7, okay? And then Medicam, and Oral B, there is a relation strongly to very strongly preferred, okay? Strongly to very strongly. So let's say strongly to very strongly means 7 and 5, something between 5 and 7, that is 6. So you will use 6 for this thing. Now you have assigned, and now what you will do, so over there that has been explained, since reach is moderately preferred to Medicam, Medicam's entry in reach row is 3, and reach, remember, reciprocal reach entry in the Medicam row is 1/3. So if we are having reach is very strongly preferred to Oral B, Oral B's entry in the reach row is 7, and reach entry in Oral B will be 1/7. And since Medicam is strongly to very strongly preferred to Oral B, Oral B's entry in the Medicam row is 6, and Medicam's entry in the Oral B row is 1/6. And now, what do you mean by row columns? So let's have this thing, okay? So what you have, you have to actually Medicam, reach, and Oral B. You have, and this is not actually, this is not done by that time. This is not done by that time. And then write Medicam, reach, and Oral B over there. Okay. So vertically and horizontally you have placed, and then you are comparing Medicam with Medicam, then it will come to 1. Okay. And you are comparing reach to Medicam. So what is reach entry in Medicam row? Reach entry in Medicam row is 1/3 over there. You have specified. So you will enter 1/3 over there. Okay. And then when it comes to Medicam's entry into reach, then you will put a 3 over there. Okay. And when you are comparing reach with reach, then that is 1. Okay. And then you are comparing Oral B with the reach, and you put a 7, and hence you will put when it comes to Oral B to reach, you will put a 1/7. And over there you had put 6 Oral B's entry in Medicam row, and that is actually given over there 1/6 in Oral B's entry. Now this is very important. If you are not getting it, so let's actually explain it again. Okay. सबसे पहले आपने ये करना है कि हॉरिजॉन्टली और वर्टिकली दोनों सूरतों में आपने जो अपने अल्टरनेटिव्स हैं वो लिख लेने हैं. सो लाइक वन एग्जांपल इज alt 1, alternative 2, alternative 3. Okay, now horizontally लिखिए, अब हम vertically लिख लेंगे alt 1, alt 2, alt 3. Okay, अच्छा जी, अब आपने ये करना है कि इसको alt 1 को आपने कंपैरिजन करना है. alt 1 को अगर आप कंपैरिजन करें alt 1 के साथ, तो इसका आपका हमने बात की थी कि 1 होगा अगर हमारा एक ही कंपैरिजन हो. अच्छा जी, उसके बाद alt 2 जो है उसको आपने कंपैरिजन करना है alt 1 के साथ, अल्टरनेटिव 1 के साथ. अब जो आपका अल्टरनेटिव 2 है, ये जो है नहीं प्रेफर्ड बल्कि अल्टरनेटिव 1 प्रेफर्ड है, और लेट्स से कि हाईली प्रेफर्ड है या स्ट्रांगली प्रेफर्ड है. अब स्ट्रांगली प्रेफर्ड का जो स्कोर आप जाकर देख लें टेबल से, वो है 5. तो अल्टरनेटिव 2 जो है यहाँ आ जाएगा आपका 5. ठीक है, क्योंकि अल्टरनेटिव 1 इज प्रेफर्ड, तो जो प्रेफर्ड होता है उसकी रो में आपने बड़ी वैल्यू करनी है. अब ये बेसिकली रिलेशनशिप है अल्टरनेटिव 2 का और अल्टरनेटिव 1 का. ठीक है, अब इसी तरह आपका होगा अल्टरनेटिव 2 और 1 का. यहां आपका क्या आ जाएगा, जो आपने ये किया है अल्टरनेटिव 2 और 1 के 5, इसको आप कर दें 1/5. अल्टरनेटिव 1, अल्टरनेटिव 2, अल्टरनेटिव 1, अल्टरनेटिव 2. ओके, अच्छा जी, अब अल्टरनेटिव 2 को अल्टरनेटिव 2 के साथ कंपैरिजन करें तो वो आ जाएगा 1. अल्टरनेटिव एक ही चीज को आप दूसरी चीज के कंपैरिजन करेंगे तो वो 100% सेम आए. ओके, देन देयर इज अल्टरनेटिव नंबर 3, एंड अज्यूम करें कि अल्टरनेटिव नंबर 3 इज प्रेफर्ड टू अल्टरनेटिव नंबर 2, एंड दैट इज लाइक moderately preferred, and that is 1/3. 1/3 means alternative 3 to alternative 1 is preferred. So over there you will write a 3. Okay, and then alternative 2 to alternative 3. अगर आपका अल्टरनेटिव 3 जो है 1 से प्रेफर्ड है और 1 जो है 2 से प्रेफर्ड है, तो इसका मतलब यह है कि अल्टरनेटिव 3 2 से भी प्रेफर्ड होगा. अब कितना होगा, लेट्स से हम कहते हैं कि स्ट्रांगली प्रेफर्ड. सो हम इसको कर देते हैं 7, and over there will become 1/7, and alternative 3 का आ जाएगा 1. Now in this fashion you actually develop this pairwise comparison matrix for the cost, right? Now after that you need to develop a normalized matrix, and what is that normalized? Remember, step number 1 is, again we repeat, we had to select our toothbrush, and so we had to develop overall goal of this AHP thing, and then we have to choose between different criteria on which we will choose. And there are 3 criteria we have chosen, and that is cost, delivery time, and reliability. And the alternatives we had selected 3 alternatives, and that is Medicam, Reach, and Oral B, let's say. So and then we had developed this pairwise comparison matrix by going through the few steps. You can have steps with you, and you can actually do that. Okay, then there is a step number 3, and that is develop a normalized matrix. And what do you mean by there is a difference between pairwise comparison matrix? In that matrix you had done some comparison, but for normalized matrix, divide each number in a column of the pairwise comparison matrix by its column sum. So for example, you are having this 1 plus 3, 1/6. So that is 4 plus 1/6, and if you do some maths for that, 24 plus 1, and that is 25/6. So that is the sum of this column. Sum of this column is 25/6, and the sum of this column is, okay, let's do some math over there as well. 1/3 plus 1/7 plus 1/1, and that is 21. 7 plus 3 plus 21, 10, 31/21. So you will get 31 by 21, and then you are having 6, 7, 1, 8, 14. The sum of this column is. So you are having the sum of the column in the bottom. Now what you have to do is you have to divide every entry wherever it is. Like 1 is one entry, 3 is the second, 1 by 6 is third, and 1 by 3 is another, and 1 is there. So you have to actually divide every entry, by the summation of that column. Okay, so we have to divide 1 by 25 by 6, 1 divided by 25 by 6, and then we have to divide 3 by 25 by 6, and then we have to divide this 7 by 14, this 6 by 14, this 1 by 7 by 31 by 21. Okay, so that will become our normalized matrix. Okay, so divide each entry in the pairwise comparison matrix by its corresponding column. For example, for Medicam, the column sum 1 plus 3 plus 1 by 6 is 25 by 6. So this gives, now we are having this thing, the entry in the comparison matrix. Okay, we are actually dividing that entry with the column sum, and we are getting a normalized matrix for the cost. So in this fashion we have actually all these values. Okay, and then comes the step number 4, and develop the probability vector. Average each row of a normalized matrix, though these rows averages from the probability vector of the alternative preferences with respect to the particular criterion. The value is in this vector sum to 1. Now this is very simple. Okay, what you have to do is now you have to sum up all these and then you have to take the average. Let's say we sum this thing up. Okay, so let's say 6 by 25 plus 7 by 31 plus 6 by 14, and when we actually make some summation, whatever like x by y we get, so we are having this x by y, and then we have to divide it by 3 to get the average. Now that will, and we have done that, 6 by 25 plus 7 by 31 and 6 by 14, and we summation. Now we do not have to actually divide single entry by 3, but we have to sum them all up, and then we have to divide it by 3. Now why 3? I mean, why 3 we are using over there? Because we are averaging. So my question to you, if we are having 4 toothbrushes and the 4th one is like Colgate, and what will be the figure then over there? Like 3. If your answer is 4, then good. And if we are having 5 conflicting criterion, then there would be 5. You know, you have to average the number of entries divided by total number, and that is, you know. So okay, doing some mathematics and using some calculator, we come across 0.298 is the score for Medicam, 0.632 is the score for Reach, and 0.069 is the score for Oral-B. So as far as cost is concerned, this is having more score, Reach, and that is 0.632, and Medicam is the second one, and the Oral-B is 0.069. So you can say that, okay, this was very much there, and you can actually visualize that because Oral-B was of 140 rupees, 144 rupees. So if you are having 144 rupees and this thing was having like 88 rupees, okay, so what is the big point? It is quite obvious that we should choose Reach. Now When it comes to one thing, like one criteria, the cost is only criteria, then yes, you can actually use that. But we are not talking about only one criteria over there. There are other criterias. But before we go to the other criterias, we actually go and have consistency check. What is the consistency check? We actually calculate the consistency ratio. The consistency of the subjective input in the pairwise comparison matrix can be measured by calculating a consistency ratio. A consistency ratio of less than 0.1 is good. For ratios which are greater than 0.1, the subjective input should be re-evaluated. So let's say, what are the steps of determining that consistency ratio? We will go through that. So for each row of the pairwise comparison matrix, determine weighted sum by summing up the multiples of the entries by the priority of the corresponding column alternative. Now that is getting a bit, wordy over there. And step number 2, for each row divide. So I go through the step number 1 first, okay? So multiply each column of the pairwise comparison matrix by its priority. Okay, so remember 1, 3, 1 by 6 pairwise. Now over there 1, 3, 1 by 6. Now this is the first column, and this is the second column, and this is the third column. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to multiply this column with the total score, and that is this thing, 0.298, and then second column, and then third column, and we are actually adding up all the stuff. So 0.298 multiplied by the first column, and 0.632 multiplied by the second column, and 0.069 with the third column. So after that we will get whatever 0.298 times 1, and then 0.298 multiplied by 3, and 0.298 multiplied by 1 by 6, and similarly 0.632 will be multiplied by 1 by 3, and 0.632 will be multiplied by 1, and 0.632 will be multiplied by 1 by 7, and then 0.69 will be multiplied by 6, and 0.069 will be multiplied by 7, and 0.069 will be multiplied by 1. So after multiplication, we will have 3 set of 3 values plus and what do you mean by that? That is this value. Okay, let's say first value. We actually give some mathematics over there. 0.298 times 1, so this will be 0.298. okay, and the second thing will be 0.298 into 3. okay, so if we actually multiply that thing, so we will have 4 to 27, 29 to 6 and 8, so 0.894. And similarly we can actually multiply this 1 by 6 with 0.98, and we will get the third value. Okay, similarly let's say we are having x, y, z, and x1, y1 and z1, and now we will actually add 0.98 with x plus x1, and we will get 0.923, and similarly we will get 2.009 and 0.209. So we had done that thing, and now we will actually divide these numbers. 0.923 will be divided by the priority 0.298, and then 2.09 will be divided by 0.632, and 0.209 will be divided by 0.69. So when we do that, we have these values: 3.097, 3.179 and 3.029. So average the above results to get lambda maximum. So lambda maximum will be got by actually doing up the average of 3 values. Now, why 3 values? If your answer is we are having 3 criterion, so we are having 3 values. What if we are having 4 criterias or 5 criterias? Then there would be 5 values, and then these matrices would have 4 or 5, whatever the number of the criterion, would be having the same number of entries in those matrices. Okay. So for lambda maximum, after having these 3 values, 1, 2, 3, and now we have to actually add them up, and then we have to average. Okay, so we have to take the average of this, and this will give you this lambda max. अब आपके पास average आ गई 3 values की. Now compute the consistency index CI for 2 terms, and there is a formula given over there, and that is CI is equal to lambda maximum, जो कि हमने निकाल लिया है, minus n जितनी आपकी entries हैं, like अगर आपकी इस वक्त 3 entries हैं और n minus 1, so if you put, then you get CI of 0.051. Compute the consistency ratio CR by CI over CR. Now CI आपने कहाँ से निकाला? By using lambda max. lambda max कैसे निकला वो आपने पिछली स्लाइड में देख लिया कि इस तरह आप उसको lambda max निकाल लेते हैं. और जब पहले आप निकालते हैं lambda maximum, और lambda maximum निकाल करके आप निकालते हैं CI, और CI को आप डिवाइड जब करते हैं RI से. Now what is RI? So 3 पैरामीटर्स के लिए RI की वैल्यू जो है वो 0.58 है. अगर आपके 4 फैक्टर्स होंगे तो फिर क्या वैल्यू होगी, और अगर आपके 5 फैक्टर्स होंगे फिर क्या वैल्यू होगी, वी विल एक्चुअली सी दैट दिस थिंग थोड़ी देर में हम देखते हैं. सो consistency ratio, if you actually do that thing, CI you have 0.051, RI you are having 0.58, then if you divide both of that 0.051 with 0.58, you get this value of 0.088. Now that is less than 0.1. Okay, good. Since the consistency ratio CR is less than 0.1, this is well within the acceptable range for consistency. Now we have to answer few questions before we move forward. What is RI, what is lambda max, and how we get CI. So now again we will move towards the theory, backslides. So the concept was कि आपको ज़्यादा अच्छे तरीके से समझ आ जाए कि जो इतनी सारी वर्डी स्टेटमेंट है, बजाय इसको पढ़ने की हम एक प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल करके देख लें, और अब हम ज़्यादा अच्छे तरीके से इसको समझ सकते हैं. For each row of the pairwise comparison matrix, each row से मुराद है जो हमारे दिए गए थे alternatives, Medicam, Reach and Oral-B. Determine a weighted sum by summing up the multiples of the entries by priority of the corresponding column. ये हमने कर लिया. For each row, divide its weighted sum by priority of its corresponding alternative. ये भी हमने कर लिया. And then determine the average lambda max of the result of step 2. जो हमने step 2 के अंदर किया था, lambda max निकाल लिया. जब हमने lambda max निकाल लिया तो फिर CI निकाल लेंगे, जो कि इस फार्मूले से निकलता है, और इसके अंदर हमें पता है कि n जो है नंबर ऑफ अल्टरनेटिव, और lambda max जो है वो हमने दूसरे तरीके से निकाल चुके हैं, जो कि हमने प्रीवियस स्लाइड पे देखा. देन उसके बाद RI हमने निकालना है रैंडम इंडेक्स, और रैंडम इंडेक्स के लिए आपके नंबर ऑफ, अगर अल्टरनेटिव्स 3 है तो ये वैल्यू यूज होगी 0.58, जो कि अभी हमने यूज की है. अगर आपके नंबर ऑफ अल्टरनेटिव 7 हो जाता है, देन यू हैव टू यूज 1.32, and if you are using 5 alternative, then you will be using 1.12. So these are standard values. And then compute the consistency ratio. Consistency ratio किस तरह निकालते हैं कि आप CR is equal to CI by RI. Or now you have this CI with you, RI with you, and now you can calculate the consistency ratio. So in this fashion, you actually calculate the consistency ratio for every competing parameter or criteria. So we have completed the pairwise comparison matrix, and then the priority vector for the cost criteria, and then we have checked the consistency ratio for that very parameter. Okay, we are done with that. Now let us take the second alternative available with us, and that is the reliability. So the R&D department of Metro has determined that for the reliability over there underlined, Medicam is very strongly preferred to reach, and equally to moderately preferred to oral B. Also oral B is strongly preferred to reach. Okay, so when it comes to Medicam and reach, we will use a score of very strongly preferred to reach, so we will use like 7, and equally to moderately preferred to oral B. So Medicam and oral B, we will use score 2, because when it comes to equally we do use 1, and when there is a moderately preference, then we use 3 for, but this is equally to moderately preferred, so we are using 2 over there. And then there is oral B and reach, and oral B is strongly preferred, so we will use this 7. And by having these factors, and from where I'm actually getting these factors 7 to 7, from previous slide we had given you, 9, 7, 5, 3, and then intermediate values, how to use intermediate values. So you actually consult that slide as well. So over there you can see Medicam is equally preferable to Medicam, so 1. Reach is Medicam is more preferred than reach, and that is score 7. And when it comes to Medicam entry in reach, so that will be 1/7. So oral B's entry in Medicam row is 2, and hence Medicam's entry in oral B will be 1/2, reciprocal. Okay, so reach entry in reach is 1, and oral B's entry in oral B is 1. So again, reach is oral B is more preferred than reach, and we will use 5 and 1/5. Okay, let's see why there is a 5. Okay, strongly. Okay. So that was not very strongly. That was only strongly. Okay, so this will not be 7. This will be 5. Okay, so this was you have to actually change because over there we were using very strongly. Okay, for very strongly the score is 7, and for strongly there is score of 5. Okay, so hence we have actually completed what? Pairwise comparison matrix for reliability. And then we had developed this normalized matrix, and how do we actually do that? We will have the summation of all the 3, and if we actually sum these 1 plus 1/7 plus 1/2, and we have this 14 plus 2 plus 7, and then 23/14 is the answer for this first column. And then we are having this 13 for the column number 2, and then we are having 3 plus 1/5, and that is 5, and 16/5 over there. Now what we have to do, we have to divide every entry by its reciprocal respecting sum of the column. Okay, so 1 will be divided by 23/4, this 5 will be divided by 13, and this 2 will be divided by 16/5, and hence so forth. Okay, so this is shown over there. And then a priority vector for reliability is developed. The priority vector is determined by averaging the row entries Now these are the rows, and we have to actually average them, and we will get answers over there. So these answers have been calculated. So 0.571 is the answer for Medicam. Reach, the answer is 0.278, and then oral B is 0.151. Okay. So see, as far as reliability is concerned, Medicam is more reliable as far as this particular case study is concerned. And let me tell you, this is not the real-time market data. We are using the names just for the explanation, for academic purpose, and these slides do not mean any advertisement or any conclusion whatsoever. Okay, for, let's say, our first brand is scoring 0.57, this is more reliable, and then this one is second, and this is the third. Okay, let's check the results we had for cost parameter. Okay, reach was quite a choice over there, but for now Medicam is the choice as far as reliability is concerned, right? And this is you are having higher score for so when it comes to cost, reach was the preference and Medicam was the second number, and this was the third. But when it comes to reliability, Medicam is first and reach is second and Oral-B is 3. So so this is how we actually get so what we actually do, I mean, as far as reliability is concerned, should we go for that or cost? Okay, now there is another parameter left, and that is delivery time. So R&D in Metro has determined that delivery time Medicam is equally preferable to Oral-B. So when it comes to Medicam and Oral-B, the score is 1. Equally preferred, the score is 1. Both Medicam and Oral-B are very strongly to extremely preferred. So very strongly means 7 and extremely 9, so 8 between. Okay, so Medicam, when it comes to Medicam and reach, the score is 8, and when it comes to reach and Oral-B, the score is again 8. So by having this information, we will complete this pairwise comparison matrix, and Medicam's entry into Medicam's row is 1, and reach entry in Medicam is 8, and Oral-B's entry in Medicam is 1. Similarly, this 8 is showing that the Medicam's entry in reach is reciprocal of the reach entry in Medicam, and that is 1 by 8, and then 1 and 1 by 8. So in this fashion, we will complete our delivery time metrics for pairwise comparison. After that, we will sum this up thing. Okay. So 2 plus 1 by 8, you will get 8 and 17 by 8 over there, and you are having 9, 17, and similarly 17 by 8 over there. And now you have to divide every entry with the respective column sum. Okay, and this fashion you get 8 by 17 and the remaining values by doing the same steps. Okay, now what you have to do is you have to actually take the average of this row, and this row, and by averaging you will get the probability vector, and by taking the average you can see 0.47 for Medicam, 0.059 and 0.47, and for this the Medicam and Oral-B, as far as delivery time is concerned, both are preferred. Now again we are on the same situation, like, I mean, should we go for the cost, delivery time, or we should go for the reliability? And remember, consistency response is been taken up. जहाँ भी आपकी ज़रूरत पड़ रही है, आप consistency जो है वो check कर रहे हैं उसकी. Okay, the counting the part, then you have to actually carry out the same thing between the criterion. Okay, so you are having how many criteria? 3 for this particular case study, and that is first step was for first criteria was the cost, the second one was reliability, and then third was the delivery time. Now you have to make some comparison between these criteria. So the accounting department has determined that in terms of criteria, cost is extremely preferable to delivery time and very strongly preferable to reliability, and that reliability is very strongly preferred equal to delivery time. So from that statement we will draw a comparison matrix for the criteria, and then we have one cost entry into cost row, and then reliability 7 for in cost row, and then delivery 9 in cost row, and similarly we will complete our pairwise comparison matrix. Okay, and then we will do what? We will actually do the summation of the columns, and we are having this 1 by 7, 1 by 9, and we do know that, so 63 plus 9 plus 7, and that is 79 by 63, 79 by 63 is the summation, and then 8 plus 1 by 7, and this is 57 by 7. So we are having the summation of the sums. Now we have to actually divide every entry by the respective summation of the column, and in this fashion we will actually have normalized matrix, and then we have to take the average of each row, and we will get these scores 0.729. So from there we can see that the cost is the very most effective criteria on which we have to choose, and reliability and then delivery score are there. Now these are step number 1 through 5, and now we will move to the next step. I mean, we have actually done step number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for every criteria, and even the criterion between those, and then develop a priority matrix. Now after step number 2 through 5, the results of step 4 are summarized in a priority matrix by listing the decision alternatives horizontally and the criteria vertically. The column entries are the priority vector for each criterion. So in this fashion we arrange our data, and we do know that the overall priorities are determined by multiplying the priority vector of the criteria by the priorities for each decision alternative for each objective. So priority vector for criteria is placed in horizontal, and those of cost in vertical, and reliability in vertical, and delivery in vertical. Okay, and then develop a criteria pairwise development matrix, and then develop an overall priority vector. What we do over there is 0.729 multiplied by 0.98 plus 0.216 multiplied by 0.57 plus 0.5 multiplied by, and after we actually do the summation, and we have over there, okay, 0.729. remember, this is the value from priority vector for criteria, and that is for cost, and that is for reliability, and that is for delivery time. So 0.98 was the entry in priority vector for medicam for cost, and then we add this thing up and we get 0.366, and reach similarly gets that, and then we have the last 3 entries for oral B. So in this fashion we have come across with the very good, very objective thing, like what to choose and how to choose between, you know. So we had come up with this 0.524. Now as far as all these criteria are concerned, reach appears to be overall recommendation, right? Not the medicam, not the oral B. Okay, so this is the conclusive slide. And see, after going through all these alien terms for so many people who are actually taking this tool for the first time, you can actually come up with this very good number, and this will actually helps you to understand what is the right answer. Okay, and you can come up with this very objective approach. So if you have to choose, just think of so many other options you may have. And the next day we will carry out another very good case study on EHP by using the same method, and we will do some practical problem as well. So this is for today's lecture, and now let's have the summary of this lecture. In this lecture we had covered the definition of EHP, use of EHP in decision making, EHP process, the whole process was understood, goal, criteria and alternative listing, this was the step number 1. Then pairwise comparison matrix for every criteria, and even the criterions was developed. Then normal matrices, normal matrix is actually we've got by dividing every entry in a column by dividing with the column sum. And then normal matrix have done, and then priority vector is the average of every row of the criteria. And then consistency ratio, we had calculated lambda max, then CI, then CR, and consistency ratio we've achieved. And anything less than 0.1 is good. After that you have to revise your criteria. And then develop a priority matrix, and then overall priority vector was actually achieved. So this is for today's lecture, and the end note for today's lecture is the greatest discovery of our generation is that a human mind can alter his life by altering his attitude. So this is a very good quotation by William James. So we can actually alter our life by changing our attitudes. So I say good luck, and thank you, and Allah Hafiz.